welcome to Kid Missing TV. Today we're doing an early episode, because it's such a miserable day outside. At least here in New England. And then again, it is winter. So it's always miserable here in New England in winter. Today we're going to talk about Dorado Jane Doe. She is called that because she was murdered by her pimp at the Whitehall Motel in El Dorado, Arkansas, in July of 1991. In January of 1991, she was actually arrested in Texas. She moved around quite a bit. Now, she told different people things about her life. Now, some of the things I believe are truthful. Some of the things I do not. I think things she told her girlfriends were truthful, and I think things that she wrote in her diary were truthful. I would love to see the whole thing. And that's something that they really should release, in my opinion. We know from her belongings that she lived with or presume that she lived with a Stroud family in Irving, Texas. And we know this because she had their family Bible. Now, I'm not going to read you all their names that were in it, but there were several. Lily, Sharon, LaDonna, Johnny, etc. So she had to have a close connection to them to have their Bible, in my opinion. Now, she used several aliases, as working girls often do. Again, she was a prostitute, and according to her, she told a friend that she got into it because a black man, her pimp was a black man, forced her to sell herself to truckers at a truck stop. That is a place where prostitutes quite often work. Excuse me. And in the process of this, her pimp, no other way to call it, shot one of the truckers and killed him. That's what she said. And so they've been on the run. It's also been rumored that she was a bank robber in Virginia and up and down the eastern seaboard. I don't believe that one. I think she stole an identity in the same name as a woman who was wanted for such a crime, because she actually used several names. Cheryl Wick or Cheryl Ann Wick, W-I-C-K, which was the name of a woman in Minnesota. And depending on where you read it, she and her daughter, who graduated from college, either works with the homeless and at-risk teens or dances for party time dancers, which sounds like strippers you'd get for a bachelor party. It is possible that Cheryl Ann did that before, as a way to pay her way through school or whatever. It's possible. I'm not judging her. I'm just saying they're two very different stories. Kelly Carr, C-A-R-R or K-A-R-R. She also went by Kelly Lee Carr. Which was the identity that came back with a letter from the FBI to a police department in Virginia about the bank robberies, or vice versa. Which is interesting, but not helpful. She also went by Mercedes. That sounds like a stripper / prostitute name. I don't think anybody would believe that was real. And again, Cheryl Ann was from Minnesota. And interestingly, one of the other names that she took, Cheryl Wick, oh no, not Cheryl Wick, I apologize. Shannon or Sharon Wiley also traces back to Minnesota. So, she, as I mentioned, lived with the Stroud family. The Stroud family, we're assuming, the Stroud family will not talk to police. They will not return messages. They will not return emails. They won't return calls. Nothing. She had their family Bible. So why not talk? She wrote a diary entry, and this I believe is real. I believe that this is truthfulness because it's a diary entry, and like I said, I would love to see the whole diary. She mentioned staying with a friend, Gail, and a Tyrone. Tyrone paid the rent so they could stay there. It gave Gail money to pay the rent, same difference, so they could stay there longer. Now, according to her killer, Pimp, Tyrone was another pimp. Gail probably worked for him as well. That would be my guess. But we don't know where these people are. So we don't know what else she may have told them or when that was. She also had other clues on her, including a couple of restaurant menus. People put a lot into the restaurant menus and sleuthing it out online, but I'm not sure there is a lot in it, you know. They were from Virginia Beach area, which is where she's believed to be from. You will see her morgue photos as well as her living photos, where you've been seen. And you'll notice that her morgue photos, she looks so young because she's not all done up and all sophisticated and hair done and makeup done and all that. They've washed it all off. And I know that happens because if I do myself up, I can look closer to my age. I still don't look my age, but closer to my age. And she had a business card for Boyd Sound Studio, which was in Wylie, Texas. Now I'm wondering if maybe she had designs on being a singer. She could have gotten that business card a lot of ways. Some people leave their business cards places and people pick them up. That's one way. Another way is he could have been a John and gave her his business card. Another way is he could have been a customer at the gentleman's club that she worked at. So I'm giving her his card. A lot of sleuthing was done, including by me, to try to determine who she was, because they did something called genetic genealogy, and they came across a second cousin. And when they went through, they found that the great-great-grandparents of the second cousin were the direct ancestors of Jane Doe. Their names were Daniel W. Wood and Mamie B. Carter. They were from Virginia. The match lives in Alabama. Now, they said, as people went on and mapped out the line further, that she was possibly narrowed it down to the granddaughter of one of the sons of Daniel and Mamie. Now, I don't know why they excluded the daughters, but I do know that someone found a family, a Worrell family, who was connected to one of Mamie and Daniel's sons. by way of his son. His son was married to was involved with one of the Worrells, who was married to a grub. She was only 16 when she got married. She was involved with him when she was 17. His name was Dennis Lehman. He belonged to the daughter of one of the sons. Anyway, the speculation is he was her father and Gloria was her mother, and that she was adopted because her mother was married to someone else, which she divorced very quickly because she got married at 16. And you find them in the newspaper together. His name was Dennis Lehman, by the way. You find them in the newspaper together because they were in the car outside her mother's home when it burnt down, killing her mother and her 10-year-old brother, and a few other people that were in the house. Her mother was only 36, her brother was only 10. So, if they gave her up for adoption, we still don't know what her name is, but we have a lineage to go by. Now, that is not out of the realm of possibility. First of all, Gloria gave up a baby at 14. We know this. This can't be Jane Doe. Because Jane Doe didn't come back to the Worrells, A, and because B, that child would be too old to be Jane Doe. It wouldn't be uncommon, given that this was 1964, in Vienna, Virginia, in particular, for parents to make kids give up babies. That actually happened to my grandmother in Maine. My great-grandfather forced her, 18 years old, pregnant and unmarried, to give up her daughter for adoption. Turns out the daughter was adopted by a distant relative. So apparently my great-grandfather had something to do with who got her. That would be my guess. Years and years and years, decades later, we found her. We, meaning my mother and I. And we reunited her with my grandmother, and they spent the last 4 years of my grandmother's life getting to know each other. So it is, like I said, conceivable that she was adopted. And maybe her life didn't go so smooth. Obviously it didn't if she ended up on the street doing the things that she was doing. Just trying to survive, conning and lying and stealing identities and stealing checks, and I refuse to judge her. And if you judge her in the comments, comment will be deleted. Understand that. Because we haven't walked a mile in her shoes. We haven't been beaten by a pimp, shot to death by a pimp. She was beaten so badly by this man. On multiple occasions she ended up in the hospital. On the particular occasion where she was killed, her neck was broken before he shot her to death. So let's not judge her. Let's try to bring her home to her family. I know that the cousin is on board with that. I actually looked in Ancestry, and I didn't have very much luck, but in going to Reddit, I found someone who did have much better luck than I did. I'm going to now give you an idea, again, not to judge, but an idea of her timeline. She was arrested on New Year's Eve 1990 for as Cheryl Ann Wick for prostitution at a motel in Dallas. She was arrested at a motel again in Dallas on January 26, 1991. Again on February 8, 1991, as Cheryl Ann Wick for public lewdness at the Carousel Motel in Garland, Texas. I'm thinking public lewdness might have meant that she was with a John but not in a room. I mean, I don't know. May 1991 arrested a Cheryl Ann Wick for writing bad checks in El Dorado, Arkansas. So that's about the time that she went to Arkansas. All of this timeline can help identify her, hopefully. In June, she had, before she was killed, the month before, she was living with a friend named Andrea Cooksey. Andrea, if you're out there, write in the comments. Tell us what you know. If you don't want to write in the comments, message me privately on Facebook, or you can call Kid Missing's phone number, which I'll put in the description. And anybody that has a clue, may have known her, do that. She had several pimps, unfortunately. She also told a lady at a Salvation Army homeless shelter that she had had a child taken away from her, a daughter. I don't believe, and she couldn't get the child back because she wasn't using the same name she was using when she had the child. I don't believe she would make that up. I truly do not. One of her pimps was a Jeffrey J.J. Davis. Another one was a J.D. It's just very sad. And this is literally the Wood family. Printed it all. I want to thank you for joining me. Have a great day. Stay safe. It is miserable out there. So stay in, stay home. And remember, mask up MA when you do go out. Have some fun sledding tomorrow, guys. Bye-bye.